I'm Colleen Mitchell-Veyna.
And I'm Kelsey.
And this is one of the pieces that we have completed. We do murals as a living, and we've been working together for, 7 years or so? And in between, if there's any kind of time in between a commissioned mural, we do some things that might be kind of fun for us. So we did this because we both have interest in supernatural, woodsy type animals, of course, various kinds of animals here. So we decided to do this on our own, and we also sell these as we go along. After we're finished having fun with it, then we sell them.
So I'm Kelsey Gilles, and I met Colleen Mitchell-Veyna on the street in Exeter when she was painting the Emperor Grapes mural. And me and my dad were walking, and we walked up to her, and my dad basically offered me to her for free. And she ended up calling me to help, and that's how we started working together. So it turned into an internship, and now we're working together as partners.
There's quite a few in Exeter. We have ones all throughout California and elsewhere, Washington, Oregon, all throughout the United States, wherever we can. The Exeter Orange Harvest mural, which was my very first one. That's very well known, has been publicized. This is our Rustic Quilt series, and there's a little bit of a story behind it. My parents live on a ranch, and recently my husband and I have been helping take care of them because they're getting very old. So on the Walnut Ranch there are tons of different kinds of wood and objects sitting around for us to use. So we decided to use the wood on the ranch, bake it and cure it and get it ready. And then my mother is a quilter, so she has a lot of quilt squares, and so we decided to incorporate them, and that's what we did. So my mom did all the quilt squares, and then we fashioned them together for display.
This is my Tree of Life painting. Most people are familiar with the symbolism of the Tree of Life, where the roots are growing down and the branches are growing up. For this one, I added the skull in it because as life is growing, we also have to remember that death is always with us and near us, but it's still a beautiful thing. It's still growing in both directions.
This is a picture that inspired me when I was in Oregon. My daughter, who this picture is about, was in a field, and the dandelions there were the largest I had ever seen in my life. So that's actually the size they were. And so I had her pose for me, and I decided to do this. I thought I was very happy with it and put her in kind of a plain colored dress so that she'd stand out further.
This one is, put on your happy face. It is from actually a video game called We Happy Few. It takes place in the 60s in the UK. And the people there are forced to be happy. They have to wear these masks that have electrical circuits in it to alter their brain, so they're always happy. And they are also forced to take pills every day to make them happy.
This picture painting / wall hanging is from my Tapestry series. I again used a little bit of my mom's help in helping me a little bit how to use the sewing machine. But I did the whole thing myself, but I had to get some clues on how to do certain things on such rough material. And these are daylilies that I grew in my garden, and I thought it would need a nice little trim, put all that together along with this, and so it's flexible, it can roll up, and they were kind of fun to do. Half painting, half craft project, really. Well, the framing I do on my art pieces, I did because I'm not necessarily happy with just traditional frames. I'm trying to always to find a different way to hang something up that's not just a pure square, or at least have some sort of craftiness into it. So that's what I've tried.
These are some of my pieces that fit more of my personal style, which would be maybe more urban, stylized. This is Bender Rodriguez from Futurama. That's a show I used to watch all the time as a kid, and I still watch it to this day. It brings back really good memories. This painting was one that I did in college when I was actually feeling sad, and I wanted to do a self-portrait of how I felt inside. That's why he looks a little sad and down. This is my Haunted Mansion skull. I sculpted the skull out of clay and then molded it with plaster. And this is actually canvas that I painted and attached it as a bow. That's from Disneyland's Haunted Mansion, and we used to go there all the time as a kid, and it is the best place on earth still. This is my self-portrait of just me, and I use a blotchy paint background to represent the paint that I use every day, and it has become me since I am a painter. This is Rick and Morty. This is another show I like to watch, and they travel throughout the whole universe and go on all these adventures, so I really wanted to show that mystical aspect of life.
This picture is completed in a steampunk style. I used Kelsey, my mural partner, as the model because she had the right look for it. And I also was interested in doing this subject matter because I have quite a lot of different old vintage antiques sitting around on the ranch and wanted to incorporate it. It fit nicely with the steampunk theme. So that's what I came up with. I used wrenches and clips. I did this picture on a loose sheet of canvas material, and so the clips worked quite nicely. It's not actually on a frame at all. It's just lying there clipped in. And I can take it in and out and add another picture if desired without coming from the back.
Up top is the sandworm drawing from the movie Beetlejuice. That was one of my favorite movies to watch and one of my favorite Tim Burton animated characters. So I wanted to recreate him maybe looking a little bit more evil. The next one is another drawing called Plugged In. This is a man-zombie type creature who has a television as his brain, and there's an image of the brain in the television. He has his iPhone, of course. And there is an outlet coming out of his brain, and he also has a bunch of circuitry in the background, just showing how people are brainwashed today by technology and can no longer think for themselves. This is my mad scientist. That is another ink pen drawing. He has some medications he's pouring out, some chemicals, a shot with who knows what in it, and it's supposed to represent that we have no idea what we are consuming chemical-wise, food-wise, or medicine-wise, and we should really be more aware of that. The bottom one is the Reaper, and he represents my fear of time running out and death, which most people are afraid of. So.
As an inspiration was my father and one of his favorite dogs. He always has a favorite dog, and this was down in the slough at the ranch, and I've used my father in many different types of murals also. So I thought I'd do a painting too. He's in the Exeter Orange Harvest mural as the main guy on the ladder, and he's in a number of murals in Kingsburg and elsewhere also.
This painting is after the book by George Orwell, 1984, and this design, you can find it online, but I altered it a little bit to make it my way because I really love these posters. It's about censorship that we are experiencing today, and these people are only allowed to read what they are told to read, nothing else. There has been talks today about putting people in re-education camps due to what they believe in, so I felt like that was very powerful to have. Instead of having the ink sock, which is from 1984, I put 2020 because that's when all this started to happen. And I also added these real bullet casings to show that once you start going down this path, things can get pretty hairy, not good. So it's important to be a free thinker and think for yourself.
This is my wolf picture, and I've done a few other little wolf items. Frankly, I just like animals, and so I do a lot of animals. And then, again, I wanted to frame it, but I didn't want to go out and buy a frame when I have all this stuff sitting around, so I used old grape tray that I found out in the back, and I slid it up in different areas, and I put it together myself, and then used a little rope trim to hold it, to border the edge, and then put the little pine cones that we keep in a little bag for all kinds of things out at the ranch, and put it together that way.
These are bowls that I made in college. I was trying to experiment. Since I'm a painter, I wanted to make my bowls painterly as well. So I just jammed them full of glaze and let them just drip off in the kiln, and I just love the way that they look.
These are some of my concrete wall hangings. It was kind of an experiment at the time. I thought it would be interesting and fun. I used polymer clay and molded the sculpture, let it dry in the oven, and then from there I used a mold mix over the top. So I have a flexible mold, and then I would pour concrete in the molds. So it's quite a process. So all of these are made out of concrete, and I also have them where they can hang on the wall. So they're all attached that way. And I found out in doing the sculpting that you can get them thicker like this or thinner as some of my other wall hangings. But in doing so, you have to layer it with foil so that the clay will dry all the way through. So that was an interesting experiment. And then I tested out some just with a glaze over the top and some fully painted. So it was quite fun. I had a good time doing those, really.
This is it's supposed to represent a mask, the shape. It's a little bit too big, but it is the face of the Joker from the comic Death in a Family. This is when the Joker has his face stapled onto his skin. He had his face ripped off. So that's his face attached. And this is actually a quote from the comic, so I had to put it in there. It says, "All of you beneath your little masks." And he says that because he has somehow convinced the people of the world to wear these masks, and they go out and they commit crimes and stuff. But when they take off their masks, they're back to their normal selves. But they're using the mask as an escape from reality to do what they want to do, really.